to Mage Masters episode 4. I'm Ben. This is our guest Tim, who still seems to be on our couch, Meg,
Hi.
and Matt.
Hello.
And today we are going to talk about a bunch of different things. But to start, we're going to do a quick fire question. Not a whole lot of discussion, but just something we talked about earlier that we thought was interesting. If you could bring back one musician who died, and their primary thing, right, was music, who would it be? And we'll start with Matt.
Well, I'd actually go with Freddie Mercury.
Aw. That's my
Swooping in, stealing Meg's pick,
Yeah.
Matt chooses Freddie Mercury, which I guess defaults Meg to David Bowie.
You know what? No offense to the guy. I never was a fan.
I'll take David Bowie. David Bowie was awesome.
How show
Dare you,
respect.
madam.
Yeah, no,
I'm
David.
sorry. I have some of his songs on my iPod. I like them, but I was never like, woohoo!
No,
Freddie Mercury.
I'll take the
All right.
Spaceman. I'll take the Spaceman.
Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah, I'll do Ziggy.
Tim?
I'm actually going to say Bob Marley. I think that's like the college answer for, kid my age. But, yeah, definitely Bob Marley.
Fair. And I said Jim Morrison. That's who I picked. He was the lead singer of The Doors, if you were born in 1990. Next question. What's the worst summer job you've ever had? Meg?
Oh, God. Okay, so one summer in high school, I decided to go work at a movie theater, which, on the outset sounds really smart, but not so much. Long story short, basically, when you're making popcorn, you gotta have a thing of oil that you put in it that's about this big. It's like a pitcher. And I didn't put that in, so I had to remake my first batch of popcorn because it did not have enough oil, which was kind of gross. And from then on, I felt like oil the whole summer, and it's like permeated your skin and just gross. And
Would you like a bag of corn?
You'd find the weirdest things in the aisles cleaning up after people. You'd find wrappers for sticks of butter and just strange.
People sneaking in their own butter to butter their popcorn.
I wanted extra butter.
Pretty strange.
Yeah.
You may not know this, but I worked in a movie theater for like 3 years.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And our popping machines were called Cornado. And I thought that was hilarious. It's like Tornado, but with corn.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Just in case you didn't pick that up. Yeah, I was never an usher though, so.
Yeah,
one time I went in and there were like alcohol containers. And I was like,
oh, yeah.
people are sneaking in alcohol. Sure enough, that's.
Strangest stuff.
Like, man, just watch it at home if you're going to do that.
Yeah. Save money.
Did you have a weird summer job, Matt?
No, unfortunately, my summers were video games, and
Yes, unfortunately.
I was probably one of those people in those theaters doing things.
Silver Spoon Trust Fund over there.
Yep. So.
Tim?
I had to work for, I guess you would say, a shipping company. So I had to unload all the trucks of every package that was ever sent.
No.
Not only was it physically demanding, but one time we had to get 1,000 packages in an hour. That was our goal. Normally I'd reach that. One time I had 995 packages and got yelled at for about 35 minutes for not reaching my goal. So about 2 minutes after that, I said, well, good luck, I quit, and walked off.
Yeah.
So.
Don't blame you.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous.
You're telling me.
Wow, that was quite a drop in productivity. I'm sure you felt like a moron. He may have hit 995, and that wasn't 1,000 like we wanted, but now it's 0. Poorly thought out plan by the manager, maybe. For me, I worked at a little local arcade / go-kart place, and they put me up by the go-karts all day, and that seems like it'd be really fun. Man, like, I got home that night, my lungs hurt, I stunk like exhaust.
Wow.
Yeah, it was not a pleasant experience, and they booked me for like 40 hours my first week for a summer job. They were paying me, they were paying me minimum wage, which is fine. I mean, that's a summer job, right?
Yeah.
Minimum wage, but then the problem is, I knew after like 2 shifts I did not want to do this.
Yeah.
I'm like 4 shifts in, like trying to talk myself into going. That's not an ideal situation. So I went to the manager. I was like, look, like, I'm not going to keep working here. This is horrible. I don't like the conditions. I go home and my lungs hurt, or whatever. And he's like, okay, well, turn your shirt in, and we'll give you your check's going to be short a certain amount of money for taxes. And I was like, well, am I going to get a W-2? And the guy kind of looked at the ground. No. Okay, so then you don't need to take taxes out of my check. So they were being, not only was it a terrible job, but then the management was sleazy as well. Yeah, so I'm kind of glad I got into that.
Yeah.
And I think the last question we have on the table was from Quasimodo54. Is that who submitted it, Tim?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, totally.
And the question is, what is the scariest thing that has ever happened to you? And we'll start with Meg.
Okay, so there are some things that compete for the top spot, but I suppose the thing, for me anyway, that was the scariest experience so far anyway, was this one. And in case you didn't catch last time, we are actually a couple. We're going out. So,
We are not.
No, they are not, but you never know. So,
That's why I'm specifying.
We know.
We're not.
We know.
Stay tuned in to find out in future installments of this show.
Never going to happen.
Yeah.
Happily married to a woman with two children.
so Matt.
You have no excuse.
Oh.
Is that right?
That's all right. So Matt here, when I first met him, had two cats who were very wonderful cats.
Yes, they
Lovely cats, the best cats I've ever met in my life.
What color were they?
They were orange and white.
And what did he decide to name them?
They were calicos and they were named Yin and Yang.
God.
Yes, so anywho, these cats, as it turns out, Matt here is allergic to, but insisted on keeping them. And one of the things that happened as our relationship went on was that he started to have what you call asthma attacks, to the point where he couldn't control his breathing. So he had to, I had to call 911. So
He couldn't talk.
Actually, that's true. It was so
he
bad.
literally-
I actually had a whiteboard with a washable marker, apologizing to her that I'm in this condition, saying call 911.
Yeah.
Like, did you try to kiss the cat while you couldn't breathe?
No.
Oh, that's good.
But it was like every time I moved, my breathing got worse and worse.
That's scary.
Yeah. So, anywho, we went through maybe 3 or 4 of these little hospital visits, and then the, again, 4th or 5th, I forget the count, I got it written down somewhere though. But the 4th or 5th visit to the hospital was the final visit, and what happened was basically, when he goes there, they give him an EpiPen, and then he's able to calm down and everything goes back to the way it's supposed to be. But this time it was not, and what was happening was the fact that he was not getting enough oxygen, so his body was trying to compensate, and basically his heart sped up to compensate for the lack of oxygen in his body, and it would not slow down, and that, as you might imagine, is not a good thing. So they had to keep him overnight. Ultimately, it was 48 hours.
Yeah, 48 hours. They had the heart monitor on me.
Yeah.
Every time I got up to run to go to use the restroom, the nurses would run from the station thinking there was something wrong with me.
Yes.
They thought I was running a marathon.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was not good, to say the least.
No.
And of course, because we were over there for 48 hours, you were sleeping and stuff like that, and it was just a long, watching the heart monitor and it not slowing down, and thinking about what the heck's going to happen.
I did get to catch up on some comic books, though. But
yeah, you did.
Maybe there are better
but
ways to do that.
Yeah.
My boss was not happy at the time because it seemed like every time that I ended in the ER, she was on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So she had to cut her vacation short or not start it because she'd have to cover for me because there was no one that could cover my shift.
So yeah, just
Look at you going out of your way to live.
Yeah.
How about you, Matt? You have a scary story? Or is that sort of the same as Meg's?
Well, yeah, that's one of the scary ones, but younger version of me before I met all of you, trying to impress a girl. I tried to do like a bunny hop with my bike, and if you guys ever use BMX bikes, the handles wear off and the metal shows on the side. Well, I landed wrong, steering wheel turned, and I impaled myself with it. Went to my friend's house. He lived on a hill. Quick, short story. He went to go call my mom, and all he could say was, he spoke Spanish. He was like, "Matt's injured, come quick." Hangs up on my mom. Does it like 3 times. She doesn't know where I am. When he does this, I passed out. I fell down the stairs of his porch, and I rolled down the hill. But his mom found me. His mom put alcohol on my stomach to see my cut. That woke me up. But what scared me was when I went to the hospital, they did some x-rays, and they came to me and they said that if I pulled a hair from my head, that's how close I was to my spleen, and I had to go in for surgery if I went that close.
Wow.
So, That was where I was scared.
Yeah, pretty scary.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think, Tim? You ever have a scary moment?
Should I tell the graveyard one? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty scary.
I mean, I laugh about this now, but in the moment, I was definitely afraid that I was going to get sacrificed. And that might sound weird, but I was walking home from a 4th of July event at my hometown.
Past the Mayan temple.
Yeah, no, not really. So I cut through some woods and came out on a long stretch of a road, and completely dark on this road. The only structures, that's not even what I'm going to call them. The only thing
Landmark?
on that road was a graveyard. So I'm passing by. I've done this 100 times, but yet this time there's a group of black hooded figures standing right in front of me, and one of them starts to yell out, "He is here among us!" And then they all start to chant this weird thing, and literally in my gut, I'm just like, holy crap, I'm dead. And so pick up my phone, I call my mom, and she's half asleep. She's like, "What's going on?" And I'm just like, "Mom, if I disappear from this phone call, I am dead." And she's just like, "Oh, what?" And so I was like, I'm just going to run. And so she's panicking because she doesn't know what's going on. And so I'm running as fast as I can. I'm a big dude, and I could have outrun anyone at that point, I'm pretty sure. But I can.
But you're like Gimli, and you're built for sprinting not for long distances.
But one runners.
I mean, I have to be about halfway home at this point, and my mom's like, "Just, where are you? What's going on?" And all I could say was, "I'm at the 7-Eleven, I'm running still." Hung up the phone and just kept running until I got home. And I joke about it now. It's a funny story for me to tell, but at that moment, literally, that was the only moment I felt in my life where I could possibly die. So yeah,
He is here among us.
so yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you my story. But on my hands. So I lived in Tijuana. Oh, she did it first, man. Yeah, you focus. I lived in Tijuana for a summer between my sophomore and junior years of college, and there was a man there who I had seen around the neighborhood. He was 6'6" and probably 280 pounds of muscle, and maybe one of the scariest people I've ever seen in my life, named Saul, or Saul in English. But he was a big dude, and I had seen him around, and he had a reputation for being kind of scary. He had this whole, he was like Rasputin. He would not die. He had been shot in the head and survived. His face beat in a fight. He survived that. He fell 40 feet from power lines. He survived. I mean, this is creepy kind of guy. And I was out in the back. I was building a box for one of our trucks to keep all the gear and stuff in. And I had a hammer, and I was kind of just doing my thing. And all of a sudden, I just hear this voice. And the person goes, "Your money or your life." And he had his hand in his pocket. And I looked, and it was this guy. And I'm a big dude, but he was huge. And so then, you have that fight or flight response. And there was a moment of panic. And I was like, do I grab the hammer and slam him in the head and run as fast as I can? Or do I just give him my wallet? And I was like, this is stupid. That's not it's just money. It's not that big a deal. So I went to hand him my wallet, and he starts laughing. And he goes, I was kidding. And I was like, all right, dude. And I took my hammer, and I took my wallet, and I ran into the place I was living and talked to the director, who went out and started yelling at him. And scariest moment of my life, for sure. Wasn't sure if he was, going to stab me, if he was going to kill me. And the other scary thing is, you don't want to be violent. You don't want to react that way. But you almost don't have a choice when you're put in a situation like that. Of either you're going to fight him or you're going to fly. And I told the director, hey, I was going to hit him in the head with a hammer. And the director said, I don't know if that would have stopped him or slowed him down. And I said, thank God I didn't try. Because then it could have been even scarier. So I'm glad it ended up working out. But what about you? Which musician would you bring back? Maybe it's Prince. Maybe some Purple Rain. We just lost him. Maybe it's Milli Vanilli. You go back to the time where you didn't know they were pretend.
You can blame it on the rain.
Ooh, Purple Rain? Maybe. Do you have a scary story that you want to share with us? Put it in the comments. Let us know. Or maybe you had a terrible summer job and you just want to dump on that. You feel free to do that too. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Whatever you can do to continue to have us generate content and show us that you are interested in what we are saying to you at home. I hope you have a good night and you enjoyed episode 4 of Mage Masters.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.